all know how dangerous it is when we encounter those blind spots in our cars and the effect that it has on our driving experience in those certain situations when we encounter that. Yet we don't often understand or realize the impact that our personal blind spots have on our lives and our work and on our ability to lead other people well. And we've all got blind spots, and they're those unrecognized actions, those unrecognized beliefs, behaviors, and reactions oftentimes that impair our effectiveness and damage our teams and our organizations and the dynamics there, and lead to unhealthiness, and can even derail our success in our careers. And as a life and leadership coach, I help successful men and women, oftentimes many leaders, discover their gifts, their purpose, and their passion, and really clarify and move their vision forward, and develop those leadership competencies and hone their leadership abilities to so that they can lead their teams and organizations in the healthiest, most effective, most productive, and most profitable manner. And one of the most crucial things, aspects of the work that I do with my clients, with the leaders, the executives, and entrepreneurs and professionals that I work with, is minimizing, well, first identifying and then minimizing those personal blind spots that affect their ability to lead others well. And there are many types of blind spots that we all have, but I see 5 common ones that, if these 5 common blind spots go unrecognized and unaddressed, they can really lead they can really lead to a limitation in the effectiveness of that leader. And so I want to share with you today, these top 5 common blind spots that I see in working with the clients that I work with. And the first one is lack of self-awareness. It's that whole emotional intelligence thing. And that self-awareness, our emotional intelligence, is essential to our success and our fulfillment in our life and in our work, in our organizations, and leading our organizations well. And when we remain unaware of how others perceive and receive us, and react and respond to our behaviors and our very presence, then it can really affect the outcomes in our organizations, and it can affect our success greatly and affect our relationships. And it would appear logical, you would think, that as we move up the ladder of success in our careers as leaders, that we would become more and more, that the higher we went and the more success we have, that we would become more emotionally intelligent and have a greater level of self-awareness. However, there's a surprising statistic by Travis Bradberry, who's the author of Emotional Intelligence 2.0. It's his book, and he says that on average, it's the CEOs that have the lowest EQ scores in the workplace. And that's pretty scary, because when leaders remain insensitive to the impact of their behaviors and to the impact of their words or their demeanor or the decisions that we make on our colleagues and on our employees and in our organizations, it is very damaging and can be very damaging to individually and organizationally. So that self-awareness piece is so important. Number 2 is self-sufficiency. And self-sufficiency, leaders are naturally self-sufficient. Leaders are naturally self-motivated. And but the great leaders understand, though, that they don't go it alone. And often it's the greatest leaders that understand the value of collaboration and community, and they really value and allow the wise counsel in their lives, and they know that they need the accountability, and that works most effectively in them being able to lead most effectively. And one of the limiting mindsets of leaders that I see often is, I have to do it all, and nobody can do it better than me, and it's mine, so I have to make sure that I take care of all of it. When actually resisting help, or turning down help when it's offered, or being too proud to ask for help, or being too stubborn or too busy to ask for help, is one of the major pitfalls of that self-sufficiency blind spot. And leadership is not a solitary position, and we can do this much on our own, but we can do this much and so much more and so much greater things when we work as part of a collaborative team. Number 3, avoiding difficult conversations. Many of us avoid difficult conversations because they're painful, they're awkward, and they're just plain difficult. But not having those conversations is a silent killer to our organizations and to our relationships. And the most important effective leaders understand that the most important work, the most important work that they can do is actually outside of their comfort zone, and is delving into the depth of these uncomfortable conversations, these risky, hard conversations that we have that have to go below the surface, and getting into the conflict and addressing those team dynamics and organizational tensions that actually make the good leaders great when they address those and they don't allow that blind spot of avoiding difficult conversations to limit their ability to lead organizations well. Number 4, powerlessness. And this sounds kind of silly, because as leaders, we're powerful people, yet we don't always act empowered. And when leaders of organizations, I hear them lamenting about their frustration about the circumstances or about employees and their the job that they're doing, or how things are going with their organizations, they're often unable to recognize that they are the cause of the environment around them. And being an empowered leader means that we are empowered to create positive change. And being able to create that positive change is a sign of being empowered. But blaming other people or blaming circumstances is powerlessness behavior. And leaders who feel powerless have trouble setting boundaries. They have trouble saying yes and no and meaning it. They often respond to failure and difficulty and uncertainty and challenges with frustration, and they feel powerless. They feel victim to their circumstances. And then oftentimes when they feel powerless, they allow other unhealthy team dynamics and organizational dynamics to continue to negatively impact the overall health and productivity of the organization. So number 4 is the powerlessness is that blind spot that we have got to begin to stop from limiting our effectiveness as leaders. Number 5 is being driven versus being led. And this is the one that I'm sure we've all struggled with at times. And there's great reward for hard work and diligence and motivation and dedication. Drivenness can actually transform what is a passionate pursuit of ours, what is a passion, and it can create unhealthy pressure for us. And leaders who lack the understanding of their true identity, or don't walk in their true identity, or don't understand their true self-worth and sense of value, are plagued by striving to seek their value and their worth in achievement and performance, and often perfectionism. And this being driven is a compulsive, an urgent thing. It becomes a reaction. It becomes us reacting instead of responding to circumstances and to situations and to people. And it results in us forcing things and striving rather than being in flow and allowing things and receiving what is ours. And then allowing fear to push us into that stressful, unhealthy, driven lifestyle. And so we must stop being driven and be instead led in our daily lives. And these blind spots are going to continue to, if we allow them to, they're going to continue to limit our happiness and our success if they go unrecognized and if they go unaddressed. And it's crucial that we understand the importance of taking a look at a deep, hard, honest look at ourselves, and then begin to seek the wise counsel that we need, the counseling and coaching, to be able to help us minimize these limitations that we all have. And I challenge you today to seek out opportunities and seek out experiences and to grow and develop personally and professionally, and begin to unleash your full potential as a leader and address those blind spots. Stop them today, right in their tracks, those blind spots that are hindering your effectiveness as the leader that you can be and limiting the success of your organization.